Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the second edition of our Giganet webinar series. My name is Chris Panaris, and I'm the Marketing Manager at Exclusive Networks USA. For those that are joining us for the first time, I just want to take a couple minutes to talk about who Exclusive Networks is and what we offer. We are the #1 value-added cyber and cloud security distributor. We have over 62 offices worldwide, giving us the ability to handle international deals and logistics. We are Fortinet's #1 distributor globally. We do pre-configuration and staging services. We have rapid turnaround time on quotes and support services. And you can always contact us and speak to a real person. We offer assistance with lead generation and closing deals. We offer marketing and technical support. We offer Fortinet and Gigamon certification training in group settings or individually. We offer a wide range of financing and leasing services to cover a variety of IT projects. And we are growing our list of vendor partners that are chosen to integrate with each other. We also offer pre- and post-sales support, security tools migration and jumpstart services, staging services, vulnerability testing, Fortinet NSC certification support, Gigamon Tech and Pro certification support, and cloud competency training, just to name a few. Joining us again today, we have Juan Quintero, pre-sales engineer at Exclusive Networks. So please, Juan, take us through traffic aggregation.
Thank you, Chris. First and foremost, thank you everybody for coming back and joining us for another installment of the new webinar series showcasing Gigamon as a visibility and security delivery platform and how it complements other security tools such as Fortinet in order to form a more complete solution through increased visibility and access to your data so your customers can achieve an overall stronger security posture by combining Fortinet and Gigamon. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. I am going to give you guys a quick recap of the previous episode as well as the overall goal of this season. So if you missed the first episode, you can kind of have an idea of how that went. The recording is also now available on our YouTube channel. So you just go to YouTube and search for Exclusive Networks NA. NA stands for North America. Additionally, the links to previous and future episodes will also be posted on the Gigamon partner website and community website. And I am also told that we will have a community space where it's going to be dedicated specifically to questions that are regarding this webinar series. So folks that watch the recordings after the fact and they have some questions, they can post those questions there in addition to emailing us with the questions if they like. But those questions will be answered there as well. After the recap, we're going to get into the main topic of discussion for today, which is traffic aggregation and the Gigamon TA series. We'll discuss use cases, benefits, the models that are available, basic config and licensing. This episode may be a little shorter than the last one. There's only so much you can say about traffic aggregation, but we should understand its importance in the overall fabric, visibility fabric, as well as know the characteristics of different appliances that are available. All right. So let's get into it. Previously on Giganet. So in the last episode, we talked about the business value of a centralized visibility platform as part of your security stack. We discussed network footprint growth and ad hoc deployments and how it hinders organizations' IT teams' ability to have a holistic view of the threat landscape. So I think we can all agree at this point that visibility is a major issue once an organization's network grows beyond a certain point. The administrator only has pieces of the puzzle gathered from different tools, expecting different parts of the network, as opposed to having as close to the whole picture as possible, which makes investigations take longer and require more resources, usually manpower resources, and more resources equals more money spent per potential incident. You have tools being poorly utilized and oversubscribed due to traffic being inspected more than once, or by tools inspecting traffic that they shouldn't or cannot inspect. So That's another problem, and wasted CPU cycles equals wasted dollars. Poorly architected solutions are also very difficult to upgrade or replace. Companies might not be able to afford the extended downtime associated with equipment change. Gigamon proposes a better way of real-time on-sample data collection, aggregation, and enrichment in order to feed the tools with the desired traffic and inspection. In addition to that, there are other benefits that I discussed in the previous episode, including inline bypass, which gives you that network resiliency and makes it possible for you to upgrade existing infrastructure as needed. So if you haven't seen our previous episode, again, it's available on our YouTube channel. It's also available on the Gigamon website on the community section of the website. So the topic for today is traffic aggregation. Aggregation is necessary in order to combine all the traffic from those lower utilization links into a higher speed links that, in order to get the traffic to the tools that are waiting for it to inspect it. They can apply flow mapping, traffic steering, load balancing, so they serve as the first step in data filtering, in the data filtering apparatus that results in only the desired traffic reaching the monitoring tools. These are some of the common use cases for the TA series and aggregation in general. Aggregation of multiple span and tap traffic feeds into higher speed uplinks, extending the reach and density of the visibility fabric across the data center. Visibility into leaf and spine architectures for security and performance monitoring. Top of rack deployment, consolidating traffic to GigaVUE HC Series nodes. And we'll see illustrations for some of these use cases in the upcoming slides. This is the first of a couple of slides that illustrates how aggregation plays a role in the visibility fabric, allowing traffic from all edges of the network that was collected by taps, hopefully, or span, if you must, to be aggregated and forwarded to the Gigamon for enrichment and applying in traffic intelligence, and then subsequently after that to the monitoring tools. Also, I want to take a couple of minutes to go back to a point I made in the last episode about networks outgrowing the original deployment, security deployment that is, or security solution deployment, and having to make decisions on how to prioritize what part of the network warrants the biggest security investment. So traditionally, organizations have chosen to protect the core network, which is this area here. And for a long time, that was just fine. Most of the traffic was going in and out, and it has to pass through here in order to go in or out. But then, networks got a lot faster. Cloud happened. Bring your own device happened. Wi-Fi is now the predominant way of people to get connected to the internet. So, if you look at these edge devices here, their icons kind of look like a server, but this could be, mobile devices, laptops. So, just think of the guy who's bringing their own device to work, and that device, you really don't know what's in it, or that person in your organization that you were working and the corporate internet was really slow, or you're having some issues and you don't want to call the IT department because you open a ticket, it takes forever. So you open your network settings and there's Xfinity Wi-Fi right there, and you're an Xfinity customer. So you just log into that because you just want to check your email and get your work done. And now you're outside of all the organizational tools. There's also, the USB scenario where, somebody brings a USB and, God knows what's on that. And of course, the ever so popular email where, somebody gets a phishing email with a link that is originally a legitimate link, and then the attacker changes that link to redirect to something now malicious. And that email is already inside your organization. So this is a different view. The previous slide kind of paints a picture of an organization with multiple locations, but all that you just saw could be all happening in just one data center. Okay, this is just one row in a data center. And I guess the whole point of this slide is that, just think about how many connections are here. I mean, any one of these servers has at least 2 NIC cards. A lot of them have 4. So, you have physical infrastructure. You also have, virtual farms. So all that traffic warrants inspection. And, this is just 6 cabinets. A small data center could have 10 rows just like this. This slide represents a more logical view of the data flow from tap links to aggregation through the TA series to the H series, where traffic and application intelligence is applied through GigaSmart features, to distribution if needed, and finally to the monitoring tools. By the way, in the same way that the TA series can be used for traffic aggregation, it can also be used for traffic distribution. All right, so let's take a look at the TA family. Also, I think this would be a good time for the movie trivia question of the week. So last week's movie trivia question was about MCU. This week is going to be about Star Trek. So hope you guys watch Star Trek. Not the old ones, but the newer ones. So the question is this: who is the original captain of the USS Enterprise? Again, who is the original captain of the USS Enterprise? If you know the answer, please share that in the chat. If no one knows, then I'll answer it at the end. All right, so back to the real reason we're here. Let's start with the TA10. TA10 is 1 RU form factor, meets the core traffic aggregation and forwarding needs of small to medium 1 gigabit, 10 gigabit networks. You have 48 up to 10 gig ports and 4 40 gigabit ports. There's 2 configurations available. This is important. One where you get all the ports enabled, and the other one where you get half the ports enabled, and then through software licensing, you can upgrade to enable the remaining ports. Optional breakout support, 40 gigabit to 10 gigabit subports, where all the ports are obviously going to have the same speed. And Gigamon even offers a half RU patch panel, where you connect it here to the 40 gigabit ports, and then you have 16 10 gigabit ports available. All the models are going to be available in AC and DC power versions, so I'm only going to say that once. Next, we have the GigaVUE TA40, which is also in 1 RU form factor. Meets the core traffic aggregation and forwarding needs for medium to large 40 gigabit networks. You have 32 40 gigabit ports. In OS version 5.4 or prior, only the first 4 can be configured as breakout. 5.5 and higher, 24 of the 32 can be configured as breakout. So all ports except 13 through 20 support breakout. Next, we have the TA100 and 100 CXP. The TA100 is also a 1 RU appliance, core traffic aggregation and forwarding needs for small to medium 10 gigabit, 40 gigabit, and 100 gigabit networks. The CXP version supports SR10 100 gigabit networks for those early adopters such as mobile service providers. You have in the 100 model 32, 40, or 100 gigabit ports. Base config enables 16 ports, and there are 2 software licenses to enable 24 or all 32. CXP version comes with 20 CXP ports and 8 QSFP or QSFP plus ports. Any number of ports can be configured as breakout into independent physical interfaces, and on the CXP version, the 8 QSFP ports can be configured as breakout. The TA100 node is standalone mode, must be running version 4.6.01 or higher. In a cluster environment, must be running software version 4.8 or higher. The CXP version must be running version 5.0 or higher. This is the first model that introduces a USB port for software upgrade. Finally, we have the 200 version. The 200 version is a 2RU form factor and meets the core traffic aggregation and forwarding needs of medium to large 10 gigabit, 25 gigabit, 40 gigabit, and 100 gigabit networks. You have 64 100 gigabit ports. Base config enables half, software license to enable the other half. Or if you purchased it with all the ports enabled, then you'll have all of them enabled. Support for a variety of transceiver types, including Cisco bidirectional, permits 32 ports to be configured as breakout into 10 gig subports or 20 ports to be configured as breakout into 25 gigabit subports. USB port also for software upgrade, except if you are running OS version 5.3, it will not work. So make sure you're not running version 5.3. They are on 5.7 is the latest. So let's talk about some of the benefits and key features. You have high density configurations from 1 gigabit all the way to 100 gigabit in 1RU or 2RU form factor. And depending on the model, you have a variety of different configuration and port options. You have breakout port options also. Support for multiple optics and media types. Front to back cooling, hot swappable fan, and options for redundant power supply. Clustering with GigaVUE HC Series nodes enables use of GigaSmart features anywhere in the cluster. I am not going to talk about GigaSmart features in detail today because that is actually coming up in the next episode where we talk specifically about the H series nodes. That'll be in a week from today. And I don't want to steal my own thunder. But I will say that essentially, when you purchase the clustering license, the TA can become an extension of the H series and you can apply those features at the TA level. Centralized configuration and management with GigaVUE FN Fabric Manager. I just want to make sure that everybody can see the red text up here. So make sure you're purchasing your transceivers from Gigamon. Additional features and benefits, you have core intelligence, including flow mapping, aggregation and replication, selective any-to-any port mapping, filtering all the way to layer 7 rules, up to 24,000 map rules with the advanced features license. Without it, I believe you get about 2,000 map rules. Load balancing, session stickiness, remove issues with asymmetric routing and lag, optimize tools by only forwarding traffic of interest or dropping traffic that is not of interest, spread load across multiple tool instances of the same type, VLAN port tagging. With Gigamon, if you have tools that only support one VLAN, then you can go tagless also. Traffic intelligence, tunnel decapsulation, and time stamping with PTP for time synchronization, which is available on the 200 model. So let's take a look at the TA series configuration and management. You basically have 3 options. You have CLI, you have GigaVUE OS from an H series node, and you have the preferred method, which is GigaVUE Fabric Manager or FM. So serial console, SSH command line interface, Telnet used to be available. It has been deprecated as of OS version 5.7 due to security issues. H series node web interface and Fabric Manager, where you can do configuration, asset management, upgrades, alerting and reporting, and also you can use the REST API for automation. All right, so this is a overview of the getting started process to get the TA up and running. Please pay special attention to, sorry about that, got click happy. Special attention to the default login and password information up here. This is the default login and password for most Gigamon appliances. In some instances, you will have an added exclamation. So it will be 2 instead of 1. So essentially, you rack mount it, make your basic configuration through the console, where you basically are just going to give an IP address to the management port, and then you can connect to the management port and use the config jumpstart script, which is included with every Gigamon appliance. And that will take you to a series of steps where you pick the host name, port configuration, and all the other things that you need, default gateway, DNS domain, security features, admin password, and all of that. Okay, so let's talk about how you deal with traffic in a virtual environment. You can't put a physical aggregator, obviously, inside of a VMware host, for example, right? So you need a way to mirror that traffic and tunnel that traffic out to your, first of all, to your visibility fabric in order for you to apply intelligence, and then after that to your tools for monitoring. So the solution to do that is GigaVUE VM. In addition to that, I kind of owe you guys from last week when I was talking about tabs, there is also a GV tab, which is a virtual tab for those environments where you really don't control the infrastructure, but just the workloads. And that is another option. I'll discuss that a little bit more when we have our episodes regarding cloud deployment. But just wanted to let you know that that is also an option. But let's assume that we're talking about a VMware environment and you do control the infrastructure. So the way to go here is GigaVUE VM that can make basically a copy of all inter-host traffic and then tunnel it out to the GigaSecure security delivery platform. So the GigaVUE VM configuration and management, you have two options for deployment. You can deploy it through Fabric Manager, which we'll see in the next couple of slides, or you can just deploy manually using an OVA that you download from your customer portal at Gigamon. And the steps are basically the same as any other deployment in VMware from an OVA. So if you choose to deploy it using GigaVUE FM, from the GigaVUE FM console, you have to go to Management under VMware vCenter, add the vCenter with the credentials, and make sure that whatever credentials you use here, you create an account in the vCenter with those same credentials. Once added, the vCenter will show up there, and then you'll click on Virtual Nodes, still under Management, and then Deploy Virtual Nodes. Once you're in the Deploy Virtual Node, you need to check the End User License Agreement. And then all these steps are exactly the same as they would be if you're doing it through an OVA directly from vCenter. You can do it the other way, and then come back to Fabric Manager and discover it using the IP that you gave it. So both are options are the same. Once that is done, basically what will happen is illustrated in this slide. First, you have Fabric Manager connecting to vCenter or NSX if that is available. And that is really how Fabric Manager learns all the details of the infrastructure and registers the Gigamon Traffic Visibility Service and all the traffic policies. Then, you deploy the GigaVUE VM using the steps that we saw in the previous slides. You associate traffic policies to security groups. You make a copy of all the packets, and you filter that traffic or tunnel that traffic out to the visibility fabric. And all that is controlled through GigaVUE FM. So GigaVUE FM can learn about all your vCenter infrastructure and asset management, any vMotion rules that you have. So if vMotion does occur, in the vCenter, machines are moved from one host to another, then the rules will follow it. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the content for today. But I do want to take a few minutes to kind of reiterate that the main goal of a well-architected security solution begins, in my opinion, with that solution's ability to blanket the entire surface. So we want to basically, as a vendor, you want to have your customers realize that where they want to be, they don't want to be in the diagram on the left. They want to be in the diagram on the right. And that is the benefit of the integration of Gigamon Visibility Platform as part of a comprehensive security solution. And I spoke heavily about the value proposition of including Gigamon in said solution, so that you can centralize your collection of the traffic for inspection, and how it makes your tools better, and how it makes your network infrastructure more resilient, and makes future upgrades easier to perform. The visibility platform fundamentally changes the way that traffic is delivered to tools by consolidating and connecting tools into the platform instead of connecting them directly into a production network. And through that, you have several benefits that are realized. You have less disruption to the production network. The visibility platform enables a wire once model, where the visibility platform is set up to tap or span once at various relevant points from the production network. Any tools that need to be enabled can be conveniently added to the visibility platform with no disruption. And that also means that you don't have to call a bunch of meetings, agree with a bunch of people, and do it at 3 a.m. in the morning on Sunday. Traffic patterns to the tools can be changed, and tools can be upgraded, taken down, or modified without any impact to the production network if you're utilizing features like inline bypass. Better tool accuracy and utilization. By delivering only relevant data, as well as reducing the amount of processing through offloading operations performed in the visibility platform, tools are better able to keep up with the traffic flow with fewer packet drops. This leads to a more accurate analysis and investigation, taking less time and resources. Lower TCO and therefore better return on investment. By centralizing the tools and delivery only relevant data, the number of tools and probes deployed can be significantly reduced. Furthermore, as the network infrastructure is upgraded, the network and tool infrastructure no longer has to go through a rip and replace cycle. Tools continue to connect into the visibility platform, and the platform can be tuned to manage the data streams to the tool. And I talked about this in the last episode, how Gigamon can take the traffic at line rate and feed the tools at the speed of the tool. So you make your tools relevant for a lot longer time. You increase basically the life cycle of those tools, and you can move tools to basically a different role. You upgraded your main tool over here, but the one that you had before, now you don't have to throw it away. Maybe you have another area of your network that is not as important, but you still want to get some visibility. So you take that tool and you assign it to that area. Finally, the visibility platform optimizes data stream delivery. The load on the tools is reduced, resulting in more efficient utilization, extending their longevity, as well as reducing the total number of tools. All of these factors as a whole reduce the total cost of ownership for the monitoring and management of the infrastructure. And these are the sources for the information presented in today's webinar. I cannot believe that no one knows the answer to my trivia question. I thought it was going to be a really simple one. All right, so I haven't seen the older Star Trek movies. No, it's not Emerson O'Brien. I haven't seen the older Star Trek movies. So, if there are some other movies that have a different captain, then, please forgive me. But in the newer movies, the original captain of the USS Enterprise is Captain Pike. And then in the first movie, Captain Kirk just takes over and what have you. So that's the answer. So this is the contact information for David and myself. We are the technical resources that are handling this series. So if you do have questions that you can think of right now, please feel free to email us. Or once that subsection of the Gigamon community is available, then you can definitely put your questions on there, and we'll make sure to check that and get you some answers. Okay, so
right.
That's all I have.
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you next week on our third edition, where what are we talking about next week, Juan?
We're talking about the H series, and therefore we're going to be talking about the smart application intelligence and traffic intelligence features that are applied once the traffic gets to the H series.
Great. All right, Juan. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
Take care.